At Actis, we believe that values drive value. We believe that investing with impact is the new normal. We deliver consistent, competitive returns responsibly through a rigorous and systematic focus on environmental, social, and governance issues. We understand the positive impact that our investments have on society and the environment. We recognise the requirement to define and to measure this impact in an accurate, transparent, and verifiable manner. That's why we've developed a measurement framework called the Actis Impact Score. It draws on the Impact Management Project's 5 dimensions of impact and is aligned with the IFC's operating principles for impact management, as well as the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, and is underpinned by a simple, repeatable, systematic approach from origination to realization, explicitly targeting positive impacts, measuring and tracking impacts using robust methodology, ensuring results are verified by a credible, independent third party. Our methodology follows 6 simple steps. Firstly, we identify up to 5 material impacts of investment that are generating positive outcomes for people or the planet. Steps 2 to 5 are applied in turn to each of the key impacts. In step 2, we assess the significance of the outcomes that is being achieved in terms of depth and duration. The deeper, longer term, more transformational the change, the higher the score. We evaluate the stakeholders in terms of the number of people benefiting from the outcome and how well served they are. An impact that benefits a large number of marginalised, vulnerable or underserved people would score highly. In step 4, we ask the question, would this impact have occurred anyway? To score contribution to a social or environmental outcome, we consider what would have happened in absence of our investment. We then add the scores from steps 2 to 4, and in step 5, we apply a factor. If the impact is generated by a core business activity, a renewable energy investment, for example, directly causes a reduction in the carbon intensity of a grid, the number is multiplied by 5. If the impact is generated by an ancillary activity, a positive outcome for people in the primary supply chain, for example, the multiple is 3. And when the impact is generated by a peripheral activity, the result, perhaps of a charitable or philanthropic gesture, the multiple is 1. So by step 6, we have a total score for each of the key impacts. Finally, we assess the risk that the intended impact doesn't happen. This won't affect the score, but it does help investors make their decisions. Let's see what investing with impact actually looks like. Actis decides to invest growth capital in a medical diagnostic company in Africa with the intention of delivering competitive returns to investors and a positive impact in a region underserved by diagnostic services. The Actis team identified the 5 key impacts which are closely aligned to SDGs. One key impact is the improved diagnosis and treatment of disease through affordable, high-quality testing. The outcome for patients is assessed as deep because improved treatment of disease will lead to better health and longer life expectancy. There are many beneficiaries, with millions of patients served each year in an area where, historically, inadequate testing results in poor diagnosis, oversubscribed antibiotics, and a rise in drug resistance. The investment of growth capital has enabled the company to build new laboratories and introduce new testing, so the contribution is scored as moderate. And this impact is generated by a core activity of the business, so the combined score is multiplied by a factor of 5. Once we have a total score for each of the key impacts, we add these together to find our total impact score for the investment. Just like financial return indicators, these impact totals can be compared over time. The bigger the score, the bigger the positive impact made by the investment. The score at exit is divided by the baseline score at the time the initial investment was made to give an impact multiple, which is a measure of the increase in positive impacts during Actis' investment period. In this way, with an investment scorecard in hand, it's easy to compare the financial performance and impact performance of investments across different markets and asset classes. The methodology is a vital tool to help people compare, for example, a renewable energy business in India with an educational investment in Africa. And alongside this, to make an informed judgment on the financial returns and positive impact achieved. This is just the beginning, the first step in creating a global standard, and a recognition that investing with impact is just good investing.